Hi, I'm Ernie, and
I'm Denny.
I'm glad he knows who he is.
I
Welcome
got a
back.
little confused there for just a second.
Welcome back. We are the octogenarian observationists. So if you haven't joined us before, we want to welcome you. In case you don't know what that is, we are old people. We see the world the way it used to be and the way we'd like it today. So today, Denny's going to talk to us. He's had over 50 years in the apparel business. He actually worked with a couple of Levi's, London Fog, and manufactured his own items over in the Orient, had a showroom down at the Dallas Market, and so he definitely has lots of experience in the apparel business. So he's going to talk to us about wardrobe, fine dining. He's entertained many of his clients, many of the groups of clients. So with lots of experience, I want him to take over and just share with you today.
Well, I did. I had an opportunity, over 50 years worth of opportunities, in fact, to entertain both CEO types all the way to buyers, to potential clients, but also to potential people that helped me in my production of products that I made over the years in the Orient. So I did a lot of entertaining, mostly in restaurants, and I've come up with some things that I think you need to know about. First of all, call and make a reservation, especially if you're doing a party of 3 or 4 or 6 or better. I've done parties up to 15. Call and make a reservation. Be sure and give them your name first. If they know you there, then it's going to be a little easier for you to make a reservation. But in the course of doing it, make sure that they know the date you're talking about, the time frame you're talking about, and the amount of people you're talking about. Because nothing's worse than you show up with 6 people and you on the wrong date on Friday night, and they had you down for 4 people on Saturday night. It doesn't look good for you, and it also creates a scene when you start battling to try to get your clients a place as a seating for a dinner. So once you've done that and you get the information out to the people involved that you're going to entertain, by the way, you might ask the restaurant if they can text or email or both what you've just discussed, the time, the amount, the date, and then you can go from there.
And you know how many times we've gone into restaurants and we all of a sudden look up at the entrance as people are coming in, and we realize that they had some kind of a mess up. Either they ended up, like you said, with more people than they had the reservation for, which occasionally can happen. We do understand that, or the wrong date, or definitely the wrong time. Well, at least I think they got the right restaurant, though,
Yeah.
because they seem to know them. But, Denny, that is important, and this is something that people really need to understand. It's great at last minute, like we do occasionally, to just call and show up, or even just show up. But, gosh, if you're entertaining.
We usually, when we show up late like that, we do still call ahead, but it's generally with a restaurant where we're known. Right. There's a couple of those around, and a restaurant where we have frequented quite often. Also, let me tell you that be sure and check, if it's a restaurant you're not familiar with, be sure and check what the dress code is. Nothing's worse than you showing up and a jacket's required or a tie is required. There's not a lot of those around anymore.
But there used to be.
When there was,
yes.
And you showed up and they had to loan you a loaner, you didn't look too good. Sometimes they didn't fit.
They came with the box of ties, remember?
Yep.
They would always come by and say, okay, take your pick of ties. Happened quite often. Not to you.
So make sure you know what the dress code is. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you another thing. If you're invited to join somebody and you're not necessarily the host, then listen, fashionably late is not fashionable at all. It's considered fashionably rude.
Right.
So if they tell you 7 o'clock, I would suggest you be there 10 minutes before. In my case, I would be there at least a half hour before because I'd want to sit at the bar and have a cocktail before everybody showed up. But that's just me. Now, that leaves us the last thing. Once you do get there, and once you do have everybody seated and you've been polite and you've helped seat the women and you've stood when a woman approached the table, other than the server, then the last thing I want to tell you is treat the help with respect. The server deserves your respect. They're working hard. They're human. They might make a mistake, but be nice. You get a lot more with honey than you ever do with vinegar.
I've heard that before.
That's
Grandma
an
said
octogenarian kind of observation kind of sayings. Yeah.
It is, for sure.
So anyway, that's my recommendation. You can do what you want, but I would suggest, and I've done it a couple of times, or maybe 3, and it works well. Okay? Now, while you're there at that restaurant,
One thing I wanted to say, I know you may get into this at another time, but when you're ordering, I always love it of course, when I was teaching how to do this, I always told the gentleman to take care of the lady to his right, other than in a lot of real serious business situations. But normally you do man and woman and kind of mix people up so they have a chance to talk. But, there was something I was going to say. Yes, I remember.
And you hit me. and
Honey,
I've got it on camera. So,
sweetheart, if that's a hit, we got a problem. You are old.
Well, I'm filing all that away, just in case for the lawsuit.
But I love it when you order for me, because normally we'll sit down and you'll take the menu and we'll both see the menu. And I love it when I just say, please order for me. Now, of course, if you're ordering for a lady, you want to know if there's any problems before, if you have allergies or something. But I love that because you take over and have always taken over from seating me to just making sure that everything is there for us, very comfortable. So you're a master. And,
Thank you.
And if people need to entertain, he's the person that can certainly teach you.
Yeah, call me. If you're picking up the tab, I'll show up.
Oh, God. I didn't mean you had to show. Well, never mind. Okay.
All right. Well, the next thing is now we're at the restaurant. By the way, in talking about the servers, you might ask their name. Again, we're going back to that same thing that we've said in previous sessions. Everybody likes their name. And it is so much easier if you say, I'm sorry, what's your name? My name's Ernie. Ernie, could we have some more coffee? Ernie, would you accommodate this person down here? They do not like onions. Ernie?
Well, if Ernie's the one serving you, you won't have to ask for more coffee. I will be there and be very aware as your server. You won't even have to talk to me.
Whatever the name of the server.
Just thought I'd share that.
It's just much nicer to have that rapport and use their name. And now you've seated. You've got everybody there. The server's there. You've got knives and forks and plates and all this, and you reach over and grab it and stab that steak?
Oh, gee. Oh, my gosh.
Maybe not.
No.
How would you approach that with the silverware?
Well, actually, in our next podcast, I'm going to be doing a full service on silverware, talking about every piece of silverware and the old-fashioned kind. But one thing I did today, I brought a knife and a fork. And I will tell you, out of all the programs I did for corporations, colleges, and universities, the 2 items that got the most attention the most attention was definitely the silverware, but it was the handshake. So the handshakes and the silverware. This was what I call the most controversial. Okay, let's take it. All right.
Well, I was just going to say, do you handshake with that knife in your hand?
I could be dangerous. You better watch what you say.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
All right. Take your knife and your fork, and the ends are always to be covered. Always. So you pick up your knife and your fork, and you have the ends covered. Now, these are what we call pressure points, which is your first finger. You hold it with the fork and you cut coming towards you. Only 2 cuts. And only, now, the tip end of the knife, even a straight knife without being sharp, is very sharp on the very tip end. So it's important to know that so you don't have to saw a piece of meat. So as you place it, you're holding your piece of meat or whatever you're eating, raise the wrist up, cut coming towards you, 2 cuts. Oh, I think I just cut the paper. Okay, cut coming towards you. Place your knife down. If you're left-handed, simply turn it over. If you're right-handed, of course, in America, we switch and eat. Now, this is the way to hold the silverware when you're eating, and your knife is placed at the top of the plate. Now, the next session, I'll be showing a complete display of a place setting, from informal to formal, including the finger bowl. So if you've ever heard about finger bowls, we'll be talking about that too.
Is that little water you drink?
No, you don't drink it, just because there's lemon in it or something. And yes, I can tell you story after story that was really funny. When the finger bowls were served, people picked them up to drink them. What do you do if you're the host and they pick them up to drink them?
You say, set it down.
No, you don't do that.
You say, don't do that,
No,
dummy.
you don't do that. You just wait for them to
Does your
finish.
children slap it?
No, you just take your finger bowl and you push it off to the side and lightly, just don't make a scene. You do not make a scene.
Okay, but you...
What, Denny?
The way the knife is placed there brings up a question to me.
Yes, what?
Should the knife, the tines, or whatever you call them, be the sharp edge out or the sharp edge in when it's on the top
I'm
of
going
your
to be
plate?
showing, now you're already getting ahead on episode
Well, I'm just
6.
talking about with holding your
Oh,
silverware.
well, when you're holding it, you don't put the sharp
Okay.
edge up.
When you set it down.
I place it down. I'm showing this on the next episode. You're jumping ahead.
Okay. I'm right now, if I'm just cut,
Let me
Do I
let
do
me
it?
talk.
do I, does the
Yes.
sharp edge go out or the sharp edge go in, or does it make any difference?
It
when I
doesn't
set
really
it on
make
the
a
plate?
difference.
Okay.
However, I always prefer the sharp edge to go out when you're putting it at the top of the plate.
All right.
Yes, I know what he's trying to say.
Yes,
He's
thank
just
you.
trying to. Never
Trying to
mind.
make her make a mistake.
Well, I'd make a lot of those.
It's not working.
Okay, the important thing is, and you will see people who hold the silverware like this or like this, you don't have a good grip. And that's the whole idea of why you hold it the way you do. Almost everything has a purpose. And this purpose is lay them down, pick it up with the ends covered, and these are your pressure points, the fingers. Hold it. Right now you've got a good grip on this fork. If you have a piece of meat, you can definitely hold it, stab it, as you say. Hold it, raise your wrist, because that way you're going to get the sharp blade right there, and 2 cuts coming towards you with pressure should be enough to cut through any piece of meat. If not, save it for the dog.
Well, I was just going to say, if it takes more than 2 slices,
Yes.
then I should get up and leave the restaurant
No,
or the home, or should I say, this is a crappy piece of meat. Would you please take it away and bring me a nice piece of meat?
Denny,
Well,
behave yourself. All right.
sometimes you have to do more than 2. Is it permissible?
Well, then do 3, but I'm just saying this is a sharp area. So if you do that with pressure, now see, this is your pressure. Then
Okay.
as you do that, lay your knife down. And of course, you can cut
Okay.
several ways, but you won't actually need more than 2 cuts if you'll practice at home. And all silverware has that sharper edge up here than down here. And just feel it. And once you're putting pressure. Did you get that?
I got it.
We're gonna have to practice at home.
I'm going to stab it.
I'm going to quit cutting up your meat like I do for the dog. You and the children.
That was unfair.
Oh, well, I mean, now you're asking about what we do. Okay.
Okay, that's
So anyway,
good.
all right, we're going to talk about the silverware next episode. Actually, the placement, do the complete place setting with the china, the silverware, and I've made lots of noise now. So anyway,
Wait,
did you
yes.
have any more questions about that?
No,
Okay.
I pretty well got it. I'm afraid if I ask any more questions, that knife, that sharp end's probably going to round up right here.
Well,
we'll let
dinner
that go.
could be a little slim tonight, but outside of that, not a
Be a little
problem.
slow.
Okay.
All right, on the next episode, you want to be sure and follow us because we're going to carry this over. We're going to segue this part into the next episode where we're going to be talking about home entertainment. And with that, we'll be setting a table, the place settings the way it should be, how you should do it for family gatherings.
Buffets.
Yes.
One thing I do want to mention while we're on that, just while I think about it, because next week it could vanish. But when people are setting up buffets, one of the things they do wrong is put your silverware and your napkin at the very beginning. What you want to do is put your plate at the beginning of a buffet. You fill your plate, and then at the very end, you pick up your silverware and your napkin, unless it's already on the table.
So now they don't have to watch next session because you've already covered it.
I don't think I've covered
maybe
it. That was a little bit of a teaser. I thought I'd just throw that out as one thing that they can be thinking about this week before we finish next week.
Okay. The other thing is don't test with your hands. The buffet
The way you do it. Okay,
Well-
we don't want to do what you do. We want to, I see, okay. Yeah.
Don't do that.
No.
Okay. And now an octogenarian observation frustration.
Oh, dear.
All right. This one is, we had an incident recently.
Yes.
We're in a hotel. You can tell the story.
We go down for breakfast. I don't know, you usually tell it better, but we go down for breakfast. We have our plate sitting across from each other, and all of a sudden we turn around, and here comes a family of 4, the father, the mother, and the 2 girls. We
Pajamas.
both, our mouths dropped, and we looked over, and I turned around and looked at him, and I said, Denny, are those pajamas? They had literally gotten out of bed and just come down to breakfast.
So, and our frustration is this: don't wear pajamas in public. It not only upsets us, but it's not very appealing when you walk through a lobby. I can even give you a worse example.
Unless you are the person who owns the hotel or you own a company. Tell your story about.
And maybe you don't care what other people think.
Well, that's true, but
I was in New York City. I had a mentor that in the apparel industry. And when we were both in New York at the same time, after his business day and my business day, we would at least try to get together, if not for dinner, at least for cocktails, just to say hi and talk about the business that we were both in. So I finish up one evening with a business meeting about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I called, and he said, he was at the Americana Hotel. He said, meet me in the bar in the Americana. I said, fine, I'll be there in 15 minutes. So I get there early, and I go to the bar, and pretty soon I look up, and walking out of the lobby into the bar is a gentleman, that my mentor, that had taught me the business, and he's got on a robe.
now he had taught you the apparel business,
Yes.
correct? Okay, the
Right.
apparel.
The apparel business. He's got on a robe, pajamas, and house shoes. And that's how he comes into the bar, and that's how we had a cocktail. Now, he maybe thought it was okay, and when I challenged him on it, he waved it off like it was nothing to it, but I was terribly uncomfortable. So the reason I tell that story is, first of all, don't wear pajamas in public. That's just not, that's for the bedroom.
Or for home.
The other and for home.
And home patio where the neighbors can't.
It can be okay in a
privacy.
hotel room, but don't leave the hotel room. It's not only ungentlemanly or unladylike for you, but the other person could be very uncomfortable, as I was in that bar.
Well, we were last week at
And-
this hotel. I
Yes.
couldn't believe it, and it was a nice place. And anyway, we both just looked at each other and shook our heads. So we see how society has really changed, and I think that's why we're sharing some of our frustrations and hopefully some of our
Yep.
information that might help some of the young people. Okay.
Now, we will give you, at the end of this session, we're going to give you our email address and a telephone number where you can text. And some of those comments we've gotten back. One of them is they're very aware the name association has gotten a lot of play. People say thank you. People say they laugh about it. People say what if. So name association has been a big thing. Evidently, a lot of people. So you've served them well, telling them about how.
Well, we've stirred up a little something.
Yes.
Because everyone's had that situation where they are called by the wrong name or whatever. So.
And anyway, we also we're getting some people that are saying yes to this and yes to that, and yeah, we like the fact that you said this. And you like. So basically, what we're getting here is the civil conduct that we're trying to portray and send to people has caused some very positive comments, and we really appreciate it, and we thank you. And we will continue to.
We don't even mind the negative ones if you have some. Just let us hear from you.
Oh yeah, we mind, but we still hear from you. Yeah,
we'll let you know. Thank you.
Them. And the other thing is the X39 patch that we've been talking about in the past.
We're hearing more and more wonderful results, which is really great.
I'm going to give you a personal, the heart thing that just happened. I was told that I was probably a candidate for a pacemaker. They gave me the program.
2 weeks you had to wear the monitor.
I had to wear a monitor.
It's a big word for him. Yes, he's going to do that.
Monitor throws me every time. Anyway, I wore it for 2 weeks. We've sent it back. It's been a month. We've not heard a word. So we think that this X39 patch that I've been wearing for 3 months now has some effect on whether or not I need a pacemaker. And it looks like I'm not going to need it. And that's pretty good from going from 6 months ago when they first started saying I had AFib to 3 or 4 months ago when they said I was going to have a pacemaker to
nothing.
A month ago where I haven't heard from them.
And Denny, they would have been in touch with you because they said, we'll let you know immediately so that we could get this booked. And it's been a miracle. And you're off of a medicine you've been on for 14 years. And we just see one miracle after another. So please check it out. Give us a call. We'll be glad to get you some more information about it. We're excited.
We've got people in
all over
Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Dallas, Fort Worth, Beaumont,
Charlotte,
North Carolina, Branson, Missouri, Springfield. You get in touch with us, and we'll see that you get the information. I want to tell you, this is amazing.
Yes, and we're going to be in those areas from time to time over the next 6 months.
For stem cell regeneration, it's amazing. With that said, we want to thank our lead line producers here. There's Joy, and there's Josh, and there's Wyatt, and they're all good, and they're all funny, and one of them went to sleep during this session. We're
That's
so
a
happy.
good thing. Yeah, it is.
And
I'm going to do the email.
Yeah,
it's Denny and Ernie at gmail.com. Denny, DENNIE, and Ernie at gmail.com. And you can text us at 918-568-2368. That's 918-568-2368. We don't leave a message. We don't have the staff to cover it. Did I do that? I knew you wanted to say
good.
that. See, I already read his mind. Just text us. We'll get back with you some way.
We did have one of the comments that we received was, you have a staff?
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, we do, so which is great. But anyway, thank you so much. I hope it's been a pleasure for you as it has been for us.
Stay nice.
Bye.